Let's start. Okay. So I'd like us just to take a nice, easy cross-legged position to begin with. Doesn't, really doesn't have to be anything fancy, just like primary school sitting on the carpet. And with this idea of sort of the anniversary of lockdown in mind, and also perhaps with trying to sort of tune into the slightly deeper rivers that are running in us today. So I just want you to kind of feel your heaviness. Try and embrace that heaviness. So you're really letting things drop down to the earth. So once you've had a couple of moments upright, we're just going to lean forwards. If it's not comfortable with your legs crossed, you can always uncross your legs. But the idea is just to sort of melt down towards the earth. Now, I'd like you to, if you can't get your head down to the ground, you can either use a cushion, a bolster or a blanket, and provide some padding for your forehead underneath, just sort of underneath where you're going to fold to, so that you do feel you can release down into the earth. And if you've got a cushion, it might be nice to put the head to one side or the other, just to help you be able to breathe freely still. So weight still drops through the sit bones. And perhaps you feel this nice pouring down into the earth. It's also a position of surrender. So just allow yourself here to relinquish any feeling of holding on to. So it's not a reaching position. We're not grasping for anything here whatsoever. There's no aim, but simply to still the mind and let whatever we hold pour down into the earth. See if and where you may be seeking to feel stillness. You may well be drawn to the mind. Perhaps it's looking for what to do. See if you can just let your focus rest on your breath. And you don't have to change your breath. Just let it follow. Just let your focus follow an inhalation, and when it comes, a brief pause before an exhalation. Nice and gentle. If you're looking in one direction, can you swap your gaze so you're looking in the other direction, just to make sure that your neck is neither compressed or under too much pressure on either side. So aiming for symmetrical weight, symmetrical approach to our asymmetric bodies. So you may begin to feel the comfort of stillness. See if you can perhaps set an intention here to let that moment of stillness be something that you allow to expand. So as you breathe, perhaps you can allow it to expand through the rib cage to the space around you. And perhaps it would also encompass more thoughts that come to your mind. Let there be space between your thoughts and between you and your thoughts. Okay. Now we're going to really, really softly just Lift up away from the earth and let the palms draw back towards your crossed legs. And place the cushion to one side. Keep the gaze really soft and perhaps a little low, and then just let the palms come behind you, fingertips facing forwards. And with your chin tucked, let your chest rise up to the earth. So you squeeze the shoulder blades behind the back and let the weight of the body heavy down through the palms. So you've got a different pathway of weight here, through the arms, down through the wrists, and then spreads through the palms. You might even have your eyes closed here. So the spaciousness now is welcomed into the front seams of the body. Check in with your legs that you can let them drop. So you may be holding tension in your knees and your pelvis. Perhaps wriggle your pelvis gently side to side and let everything drop in your lower limbs. Drop down towards the earth as the chest simply lifts. The shoulders draw back and down away from the ears. And we're going to lift off the palms and interlace the fingers behind the back. Very similar position here, but we're just going to draw the arms straight. So we're taking, the weight now is through the spine. So we're taking weight off the palms. We still feel this lift in the front body. Chin still tucked. Elbows are straight and your shoulder blades draw together behind the back. This is a very nice counter posture for being at a desk. Roll the shoulder blades down and away, shoulders away from the ears. Create that sense of space. Still try and keep lifted through the vertebra of the spine. So your idea of the weight dropping through, it drops down through the crown, which is stacked over the shoulders, which is stacked over the hips. Lovely. Release the hands and then let them come to embrace you. And you can then use the fingertips to almost pull the skin of the back apart. So you feel this opportunity to really inhale and breathe the shoulder blades apart. Keep you nice and rounded in the back. Again, just gaze can be low or lids lowered, and check in that your tongue is relaxed, your jaw is unclenched. Come back to that intention of creating space. Then let your hands come to opposite elbow and inhale. Draw the arms up overhead. So now you have opposite elbow and you're lifting up with the elbows, creating space and length in the torso, breathing space and air into the armpits. Lift up, lift up, lift up. Keep the chin tucked so the cervical spine has nice length to it too. And feel the space this creates in the ribs and the lungs and the belly. Keep the shoulders drawing down towards the waist. I'd like you to take 5 breaths. And when you've taken the 5 breaths, let the palms drop to the shoulders and just take a few rolls one way with the elbows and then the other way. So you're really easing now through the shoulders so that they feel freedom of range of movement after being held in that previous position. You might want to inhale and draw the elbows towards each other behind your back, and then exhale, draw them towards you in front of your nose. So inhale, feel the expansiveness and the spaciousness in the front body, and exhale, Let the back body expand. Twice more. Last one. Really nice and slow. So not speeding through these activities, not speeding through the movement or the breath, keeping a nice, calm weightedness to your movements. Let's come onto all fours and let the spine oscillate through a couple of cat-cows. So allow the belly to drop down towards the earth again. Let the full weight of the belly extend down. Really spend a few moments here, perhaps wriggling through the hips to ease through the waist. And let that weight also plummet down from the shoulders to the wrists, which want to be in line, the hips to the knees. Really feel that weight dropping down. Don't try and fight it. Release towards the earth. You may feel already your spine relinquish some tension. Look up, inhale. And when you're at the top of your exhale, try and make it a smooth transition that you start to curl your tailbone and exhale. Take your gaze to your navel, round through the belly. So use your weight of your head to draw your spine into a beautiful rounded shape. And then again, inhale, roll the shoulders, drop the belly down, feel the weight. Draw the shoulder blades together behind the back, draw the chest through the arms, and you're looking up with the inhale. Shine through the chest and exhale, round from the tailbone. Let the head drop down. Push through the arms and really arch through the back. And you may like to just wriggle your hips side to side and create space in the side body here too. Nice snake-like lateral movements all along the spine. And then we're going to spread ourselves down and let the legs extend along to the back of the mat, and the feet come about mat width apart, and then the palms are also mat width apart, so the palms of the fingertips are pointing towards the corner of the mat. Just going to wriggle the hips once again and let any tension come out here. And take a few moments to allow yourself to really, once again, release and surrender down to the earth. So it can take quite some motivation to turn up to the yoga mats. And sometimes what's really nice when you get here is to see whether that pushing can be stepped back from. So when we come, we often think, right, sun salutations, let's get fired up. Here we're in Sphinx, and we are simply allowing ourselves to drop down, to step back. Let's have some breathing space. Check in with the jaw, that it's soft, that the gaze is soft, the tongue is soft. And see what comes to you here. So instead of reaching, instead of grasping, instead of seeking, maybe you're feeling something come to you, and it might be a simple sort of sense of things coming together. It might be a sense of that stillness. Allowing that stillness to expand in your sort of sphere of awareness. And then let the palms come a little bit closer towards you, so they're coming underneath the arms. And we're going to zip the legs together, zip the elbows into the side body, and inhale, push in with to the floor with the toes. Lift the knees, engage the navel, draw the chest up, cobra. Breathe here with your chest lifted. Shine through the collarbones, draw the shoulder blades together behind the back. And if you want to, you can interlace the fingers and increase this with an exhale, lift the legs off the floor. Increase this little opening, this little flexion in the back. A little bit stronger here, so you may feel a few waves of release or heat. Stick with it, stick with the breath. Slightly longer held poses in this practice. See if you can try to embrace the different pace. Lovely. Let the palms drop down. And we're going to come to a held upward facing dog. So press through the palms once again. And now we're going to lift the knees and the thighs. And can you take 5 breaths here? So where can you feel this releasing, dropping down, surrendering, pouring out sensation? At the base of your 5th exhalation, tuck the toes and push into downward facing dog. So you may feel a nice release in the spine. And let's walk this dog through. Nice and slowly, bending each knee left and right. Exploring the space that that gentle movement creates. Try and keep the shoulders quite still. And just focus on this gentle paddling motion. Left and right as the heel of each foot alternately extends towards the earth as the opposite leg bends. Lovely. Come to plank. Hold it here for 5 breaths. If you like to drop the knees, you can. Again, you may feel that heat generating. What are you burning away? Push the heels away. Hold the navel. Drop the knees. And come down to child's pose. So you can have your knees together or your toes come together and your knees come mat width. If your knees are together, your arms can go down by the side. If you've got wide leg child's pose, just let your arms come out in front of you. Drape your torso down. And whichever version you're in, try and allow your forehead to come to a rest on the earth. We'll just take a minute here. So check in on your Mara, on your internal critic, and whether it's sort of fighting this different pace. And can you tune into sensations that are quietening the Mara? So what seems more important than your self-criticism or your self-judgment? Can you feel the beneficial elements of the practice of slowing down? What comes to you? What comes to you here? Let's come back to the palms, tuck the toes, lift the knees and the hips, downward facing dog. And let's inhale the right leg up nice and high. Enjoy this space. So keep the shoulders level with each other. Don't let the left shoulder drop back. Enjoy the space that you're creating. Maybe you can come up onto the tiptoes of the left foot. Really feel like I'm suspended in elegance. You're held here gracefully, lightly. And then let that right knee come down. First of all, towards the belly. With the left ball of the foot, propel your body forward. Step the right leg in between the hands. Lower down the back knee. And keep just leaning forwards and backwards on your right leg. So you get this lovely easing through the back of the right leg and the left hip flexor. Oiling through the joints. And then we're going to take the right foot and we're going to lift it and drop it back so it points towards your left knee. And the right knee comes and bends behind the right wrist, coming into pigeon. So if you have your blankets or your cushions nearby, you can always pop a cushion underneath your left hip if you feel that you're peeling too far over to the right. And that can be quite common if you have quite tight hips. So see if you can get yourself equal through the hips, and that takes a little bit of wriggling, a bit of negotiation and kindness. And just prop up onto the fingertips and just spend a few moments here, settling into that sense of earth, of connection to the earth, of the heaviness. So often we say, oh, I came up against a wall, and we feel like we need to maybe jump over the wall. This sort of practice is about leaning against the wall to have a rest. So allow now yourselves to draw down into pigeon. So it might be that you can't come all the way down, in which case you can come onto your elbows and hold your head in your hands, either your chin or perhaps nicer, your forehead. Or you come all the way down, straight down towards the earth. And we're going to spend 2 minutes here. So while you can quite confidently be sure that 80% of people that you usually connect with are being busier than you right now, I want you to allow yourselves to have a little faith in that practice of non-business, non-busyness, or as the Buddhists call it, aimlessness. This idea that when we stop chasing after something, that we really find what we have. So drawing this sense of what you find here and now, perhaps a sense of fulfillment, a very natural sense of ease, drawing it in with your belly breath. And as you release, you can just let anything superfluous or distracting be offered out. Digging space inside. It's like we are these kind of mountains, and we need to dig into the mountains to create caves where we've got the space to reflect, process, delve a little bit further into our experience of being humans. Any discomfort at any point, you can make micro adjustments, or of course you come gently out or back away from your edge. With these slower held poses, you tend to slightly melt into the poses gently. So you might feel yourself release a little further down into the earth. When you are ready to send the signals to the arms, I'd like you to just draw them close towards you so that you can start to pad the hands up, peel the chest away from that right leg. Move over to the right and then let the left foot draw around. So you can bring the left foot directly in front of you as one stage and then hop it over the right knee. So your right knee slightly catches your left ankle, and then I'd like you to catch your left knee with your right hand. So first of all, just test how it feels to start to take the torso over across the thigh. So you're starting to have a gentle twist. And then you may want to extend the arms so it's coming just behind you. Keep lifting the spine and then see if you can start to introduce that twist further up into thoracic and cervical spine by drawing your right shoulder into the turn. Take your gaze over the back shoulder. That's the last part of initiating the posture. And then when you're there, try and find some softness in the belly. And once again, just identify anywhere that you are holding on to tension. So it tends to be in the right leg, the right hip. See if you can just let that right hip release down to the earth. Your 5 breaths, your 5 belly breaths here. You may feel a slight kind of hum or vibration, particularly in the hands and the feet, which are so used to being tense and busy, really representing their states of mind. And you might feel that they just kind of almost vibrate from the stillness that they're now in. And when you've taken those 5 breaths, you can release first the gaze, then the back arm, and just take a little counter twist in the opposite direction. And then we're just going to extend the legs out in front of us. Inhale the arms up overhead and exhale, reach forwards. Let the spine round and come into a forward fold, which we're going to hold for 1 minute. So it might be that your palms are on your shins, your ankles, it might not be your toes, but wherever they are, just let your toes keep extending back towards you. So that gives you a nice openness in the feet. There's said to be diaphragm in the feet, so you can almost think that you're breathing in through those soles of the feet. If you can reach, it can be quite nice to even stroke the soles of the feet. Make contact with this part of us which takes so much of our labor, but very little of our love, I suppose, our attention. Really let the neck release here, so the head is just dropping down to the earth too. And then we're going to draw up, lean over towards your right, pick your left, lean over to your left, pick your right foot up and hop it over your extended left leg, and then you can bend your left leg back. So we're coming into that little twist on the opposite side. Then your left arm hooks around your right knee. And once again, the first stage is to just draw the torso in line with the thigh. Then you can extend the right arm back behind you, place it back, lift up with an inhale to extend through the vertebra, allow there to be space in the spinal column, and then you can start to introduce that twist in the thoracic and the cervical spine, activate the left shoulder. So you're pushing a little bit more with your elbow against the knee, drawing your thoracic spine into the twist. And finally taking your gaze and your cervical spine into the twist. So you're looking over your right shoulder. You've got both compression and twisting going on here, which is said to be very beneficial for the internal organs. You're also getting a nice stretch through the hamstring. Check in that you're not holding. So I've just dropped in my left leg. So I was holding a lot through the left thigh and hip. Drop down into the earth and then feel how nice it is to spiral away from a solid base. Spiral up and out of a solid foundation. And then we just take that little release and counter twist in the opposite direction. Once again, lean over to your left, and then we're going to extend that right leg back. We'll come into pigeon on the opposite side. You might need to do a little bit of arranging here. So perhaps take your weight onto your right leg so you can lift your left knee up, place it outside your left wrist. Make sure that you've got space for the navel to draw down by moving your left heel away from your navel. Left toes point down towards the right leg. Once again, I want you just to check whether you can let your right hip drop to be equal with the height of your left hip. And if not, can you just place a little blanket or cushion underneath the left hip so that you can start to feel that you're allowed to release equally through the hips. Otherwise, you're holding on to a tension, which is what we want to avoid. Take a couple of minutes to let your lower limbs really settle down. And then we're going to let ourselves draw forward once again to take 2 minutes in this pigeon posture. And hopefully what you're starting to feel is that your mind is stiller and other areas of you feel a little easier. So we're really working with we're really tuning into the parasympathetic nervous system here. And with our longer poses and likely longer breathing, we're cueing the vagal nerve. And both the parasympathetic nervous system and the vagus nerve are very connected. And they're very connected to the processes of having a rest and also digesting. So you may feel an ease arise for the stomach. And you may well feel that the breath is easier and hopefully more spacious. Just 1 more minute here. Important now that as you come out, you really keep your feeling of connectedness to the earth. And we're going to come into Shavasana. And I'd like you to perhaps pop a cushion underneath the knees. And if you have a blanket, I'd like you just to pop it underneath where you would, so have it perhaps this wide, at 20 centimeters wide. Pop it underneath your shoulder, where your shoulder blades are going to go on the mat. So you're going to have the spaces that are usually a little lifted off the mat are going to have some nice contact with the earth. And the legs are just slightly lifted here, so slightly above the heart. Take a moment or two to find your ease here. And if you have a little longer in your schedule to allow for a longer Shavasana, perhaps find a way to time yourselves or to wake yourselves up, if you like, from the Shavasana. And I'm going to try and guide you now, because we don't have a long time for our allotted slot. So perhaps you could take a couple of nice deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. And each exhale, I'd like you to feel yourselves relinquish and surrender further. And then now just return to breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Now, we say that a lot of this sort of practice and slowing down is very good for processing. And you may feel like nothing big is happening right now, but you are building capacity and space in which you can allow yourselves to feel. If you're constantly bombarded with information or pressure to be active, you allow very, very little space for yourselves to respond to anything that's going on inside. So it may not be that much comes to you now, but it may just be that the next challenge that you come up against, you've just dug a little extra out of your cave, a little bit extra space or air for you to be able to deal with whatever comes your way. So if you're going to come out with me, inhale and let the arms come up overhead, and then bend the knees so the soles of the feet are to the ground, and just gently windscreen wipe your legs left and right and let your gaze go in the opposite direction. And then let the knees roll up, draw up towards the armpits. Hold on to the knees, roll over to one side. Carefully come up to seated. Really, really hope that you enjoyed the slightly different pace of the practice, that there was something in it there for you that was just as satisfying as in slightly stronger, faster practices. This sort of practice is especially recommended for people who are constantly on the go, who consider themselves very active. And it's really challenging to embrace a pace that is perhaps considered unnatural for us. But like anything, if you have too much of something, it can be really, really positive in helping to form broader experience if you can change gear and change pace occasionally. So thank you so much for joining. Wish you all the very best and keep well. Hopefully we'll all catch up pretty soon.
Thank you very much. That was great. You're welcome.